Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk about the so-called father of all deals, the bilateral trade agreement between India and the United States. Perhaps the longest one that has been negotiated with the United States. India was the first country to come with offers. India preemptively had reduced tariffs on certain products like the motorcycles that the US was exporting when Prime Minister Modi came and met with Donald Trump in February. And then subsequently, they have been negotiating for exactly a year, really. And now they have announced. In today's conversation, I will essentially talk about the announcement of this deal, what is significant about it. There is a lot of politics around it because right now the statements that are coming out of Delhi reveal very little about the deal itself, and so whatever knowledge we have about the agreement is from Donald Trump himself, and he has made some very specific claims. I will point out to that. There is substantive reasons for the things that he's claiming, and I will show you the sources. This morning I did a Hindi show on conversations in which I basically extrapolated what the deal really means, and people were saying, so how do you know this? How do you know that? This is all open source intelligence. I don't have any secret access to the recordings of the phone call that Trump had with Prime Minister Modi. But nevertheless, most of the stuff, or nearly everything that I will share with you are open source, and I will share the sources with you. And then subsequently, I will provide you with details of what might be in the deal, what the politics of the deal is, and then I have a little bit of critique and its implications on Indian economy and for the US also. And after that, after I've made my presentation, I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any serious questions or comments. Or comments from members of conversations. So to begin with, Prime Minister Modi in India essentially posted this comment. So take a look at it. He said, "It's wonderful to speak with my dear friend President Trump today." This was yesterday. "Delighted that made in India products will now have a reduced tariff of 18%. So basically, Prime Minister Modi announced that the tariffs on Indian manufactured goods or exports to the US will go down from 50% to 18%. Big thanks to President Trump on behalf of the 1.4 billion people of India for this wonderful announcement. Well, that was not the only thing that Donald Trump announced. So I will share with you what Donald Trump announced as soon as I finished reading that. And so he said, when two large economies and world's largest democracies work together, it benefits our people and unlocks immense opportunities for mutual beneficial cooperation. Basically doesn't say anything. President Trump's leadership is vital for global peace, stability, and prosperity. India fully supports his efforts for peace. So this is essentially a kind of a sorry, we didn't support you for the Nobel Peace Prize. Sorry, we didn't join the Board of Peace for the Gaza project and other plans that you have to replace the UN. But nevertheless, we support your efforts in trying to do that. I look forward to working closely with him to take our partnership to unprecedented heights. So basically, this is all the Prime Minister Modi said. He did not even explicitly say what the details of the thing is. The Indian Parliament is in session right now. If India was a slightly better democracy, he would have walked into the Parliament and announced this deal and said, this is what we have agreed to. Instead of that, Piyush Goyal, who is the Minister of Trade and Commerce, instead of making this announcement in the Parliament, he went to the press. The advantage of going to the press and not going to the Parliament is because there is an opposition in the Parliament. There is no opposition or even critical thinking or even any brains in the mainstream media in India today. The Godi media never asks any questions at all. And you will realize at the end of my presentation as to the kind of questions they could potentially have asked. All they seem to be focusing on is, oh, Modi didn't call Trump, Trump called Modi, so this is a big surrender by Trump to Modi because he made the phone call. Well, Trump is the closure, and he closed this deal as far as he's concerned. And this deal is very different from the deal which was offered by Howard Lutnick and others several weeks ago. Nevertheless, that is all people seem to be talking about in India, that it was Trump who called Modi and that India's tariffs have gone down to 18%. The number 18% is quite critical because it is the lowest tariff number in South Asia. So the deals that South Asian countries made with Trump long ago were, I think, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal have 20% each. Pakistan had a 19% tariff rate, so it was better than other countries. Now, India's 18% tariff beats Pakistan's 19%, but it does not beat South Korea, which has 15%, Japan 10%, European Union 15%, and UK 10%. So that is what is being celebrated in India. But let me tell you that there is more to this deal. And so suddenly that 18% is not really going to look good. So whatever this deal is, Piyush Goyal in his commentary essentially said that the whole country is celebrating. He used the word utsav. It's like a festival in India because this deal is finally, after 1 year, the deal has been culminated. But then he spent the rest of his time attacking Rahul Gandhi and the opposition for the kind of questions they were asking in the parliament rather than telling us what is in the deal itself. Interestingly, when Shashi Tharoor was asked this question, what do you think about the deal? He said, well, tell me what the deal is. And really, I'm going to tell you what the deal possibly is because of the OSINT that I will be using. But as far as the Indian government is concerned, they are just saying what is not in the deal rather than saying what is in the deal. But let's hear from the deal maker himself. What did Trump say was in the deal? This is the tweet that Trump made, and this is what he said after his phone call to Narendra Modi. He said, it was an honor to speak with Prime Minister Modi of India, blah, blah, blah. He's one of my greatest friends, and so on. And then he said, we spoke of many things, including trade and ending the war with Russia and Ukraine. He agreed to stop buying Russian oil and to buy much more from the United States and potentially Venezuela. So the first thing that Prime Minister Modi, according to Trump, has agreed upon. And if Prime Minister Modi has not agreed to this, then either Piyush Goyal or the Ministry of External Affairs or Prime Minister Narendra Modi should immediately issue a clarification saying, no, I did not agree to stop buying Russian oil. We will continue to buy Russian oil. He should say that. Otherwise, we will assume that Donald Trump is speaking the truth. And this is what the Indian government has agreed to. If they have disagreed, all they have to do is issue a clarification. So that's the first thing. The second thing he says, we agreed to a trade deal. Modi doesn't say that. He said, we agreed to a trade deal between the United States and India, whereby the United States will charge a reduced reciprocal tariff, lowering it from 25% to 18%. This is the only thing that Prime Minister Modi has focused on. So basically, the United States, for those of you who are completely unaware of it, the US had imposed 25% reciprocal tariffs on India because India was, according to him, Maharaja of tariffs. And India was imposing 100% tariffs on US manufactured goods to a great extent, 50%, 60% on various things. And then it had a huge segment of Indian market which was blocked off. And it also has many non-tariff barriers too. So that's all Donald Trump was complaining about. So for that, he imposed 25% reciprocal tariffs on India. And then on top of that, he added 25% more because India was buying Russian oil. So if India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil, those 25% tariffs go down. So 25% reciprocal tariffs are left. And so in the deal, he reduces those tariffs to 18%. Now, this is all India has got. All India got from the US-India trade deal is that the tariffs have gone down from 50% to 18%. That too, if India stops buying Russian oil, buys American oil, and perhaps even Venezuelan oil. So it's a conditional reduction. And then they will likewise move forward, reduce their tariffs and non-tariff barriers against the United States to zero. So India is going to reduce its tariffs to 0% and eliminate all non-tariff barriers. This was the first question that the reporters should have asked to Piyush Goyal rather than letting him rant on about Rahul Gandhi and the opposition and the parliament. He's the Minister of Commerce and Trade deal. He should have come out and addressed these issues that the President of Trump claims are part of the deal. The Prime Minister also committed to buy American at much higher, read this carefully, okay? with me. The Prime Minister also committed to buy American at a much higher level. And this is why Trump said Modi used made in India products, because Trump said buy American at a much higher level, in addition to over $500 billion of US energy, technology, agriculture, coal, and many other products. So, in addition to all of these things, India is going to spend $500 billion buying that stuff. India is going to buy more. So basically, the trade deficit that India enjoys with the US is roughly $40 billion, $45, $48 billion. The total trade in goods, not services, in goods is about 120 to $130 billion. India exports above $80 billion worth of goods, imports about 40 billion, and India had a trade surplus of $40 billion against the US. And that is what Trump, one of the things that really bugged Donald Trump. Now, with India buying $500 billion worth of additional stuff, it could be buying them in 4 years, as one indication is by 2030. So India will be buying $125 billion worth of extra stuff. I don't think India has the potential to do that. But India might buy them even over 10 years. You're looking at $50 billion of additional imports from the US, which means that it will completely erase the trade deficit that India has with the US. But not only that, you must remember that India's exports of $80 billion to the US are at roughly most favored nation rates level, which is 2 to 3.5%. That was last year. But now it will be at 18%. So what India has really achieved in the last 1 year is that tariffs on Indian manufactured goods in most areas, except pharmacy and semiconductors, has gone up from 3% to 18%. That's the net result over the 1 year period. So in December, and not even December, January, till April, so until March of 2025, India was paying 2 to 3% tariffs on all the stuff that it was exporting to the US. And since August, it has been paying over 50%, and now it will pay only 18%. So if you look at March of 2026 and March of 2025, India is going to pay roughly 15% more tariffs on American goods, and people are celebrating that as a victory of Modi's diplomatic charisma and magic. No, you're going to be paying 15% tariffs across the board. And if Trump is right, then India will be reducing all the tariffs to absolutely 0%. 0% tariffs on India on American goods. And this is on manufactured goods because India thinks it is protecting the agriculture. Piyush Goyal repeatedly said in his presentation that core agricultural issues were protected, that the farmers' core agricultural interests, farmers, the dairy products that will also be protected. So agriculture and dairy is still protected. That is what Piyush Goyal is saying, but he's not giving you any specifics, right? But if you look at this particular statement by the agricultural minister or agricultural secretary of the United States, Secretary Brooke Rollins, this is what she posted. Thank you, POTUS, for once again delivering for American farmers. New US-India deal will expect more American farm products to India's massive market, lifting prices and pumping cash into rural America. In 2024, America's agricultural trade deficit with India was 1.3 billion. India's growing population is an important market for American agricultural products, and today's deal will go a long way to reducing this deficit. America's first victory on top of the dozens of deals for agriculture. So she's very clearly saying that the US is getting access to India's agricultural market. Whereas the Indian agricultural minister, well, I guess he's been sleeping for the last 24 hours. We have not heard anything from Indian agricultural minister. I was on another show where there were other reporters from India also on that show. And one of them was joking that perhaps he's not even read the deal. Perhaps he's not been read into the agreements that Piyush Goyal has made. And so perhaps only Prime Minister Modi is aware of it, the rest are not. So this is something that I wish the reporters had asked Piyush Goyal rather than wasting everybody's time by attacking Rahul Gandhi, who's asking the same question that I'm asking. Show me the money. Show me the deal. If you think you have had this father of all deals, then proudly display it, as they talked extensively about the agreements with European Union, with the UK, and with New Zealand. We still have to get several details. So let me break it up for you before I open for question and answers. But for the $500 billion, I'm going to go to a Ministry of External Affairs readout. You can Google this and take a look at it. This is Ministry of External Affairs India, in which they basically said, if you Google this as Mission 500, you will find out. Now, what they say in the Mission 500 is that by 2030, US-India trade will exceed $500 billion per year. India-US trade deal will exceed $500 per year. It's just $130 billion this year. So it's going to quadruple in 4 years. How is that possible? What is besides the stuff that the US already buys from India? Is India's exports going to quadruple? No. This is what Trump expects India to do, to buy $500 billion worth of stuff from the US. It could be weapons, it could be technology, it could be especially petroleum and gas. If now India is importing about $60 billion worth of crude oil from Russia, it has to stop that. Otherwise, that 25% tariffs will remain in place. And so if it stops buying Russian oil, it has $65 billion worth of stuff to buy American products, probably American oil and natural gas. And so that's 65%. If they split the 500 over 4 years, they still have to pony up another 60 billion to reach 125, which will be 25% of $500 billion. So there is this thing needs to be flushed out. There is not much details that has come out. It will come out slowly. I think very soon Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent will be on Indian television, in the US television, answering questions from intelligent reporters who know their stuff. So please at least watch US television, where you will hear Scott Bessent and Lutnick talk. Obviously, Prime Minister Modi is now going into basically some other kind of mode. He's not talking about the details. Piyush Goyal is going to spend most of his time attacking Rahul Gandhi and not talk about the details of the deal. But this is very important, because let me tell you other things. Like, for example, this is a report, and this report is from India. This is, I think, Hindustan Times. Cash in rural America. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins cheers new trade deal market access to India. So if you go to Hindu and some of this newspaper, you will find some very interesting things. This is what is going to happen. If tariffs on U.S. products go down to zero, American cars will be at 0%. Imagine Tesla will now be available at the price that we pay here in the US, which is 45%, $45,000 for Model 3. So a lot of people might want to buy Tesla. A lot of people might want to buy Jeep, Cherokee, and other models of the American cars, which are going to be at an advantage, because right now you're paying anywhere between 70 to 110% on American cars. You're paying double the price. Now you won't pay that price. The European cars, based on the India-EU trade deal, will still be, it'll be like 1 or 2 years from now, once the deal gets approved, then they will have 40% tariffs. So BMWs and Mercedes is coming into India will still have 40% tariffs, but American cars will have 0% tariffs. So America will have an advantage, I think qualitative and brand image advantage over Indian cars, and definitely a price advantage over American cars. So that should give America a great boost in its market. But lots of other stuff that India already buys, such as medical equipment and a lot of electronic gadgets, etc., will now be at 0% tariffs rather than 60, 70% that they have been so far. Not only that, it is very clear that, for example, Washington apples. So if you look at this report that comes, so for example, India offers immediate tariff removal on apples and tree nuts to the US. So for example, things like walnuts and what else? Washington apples, and one more kind of nut, cashew nuts, not cashew nuts, almonds, sorry. Almonds, walnuts, and this, plus also chickpeas And to some extent, I think some lentils are all going to be available in India. Yes, the dairy, there's no discussion about milk and cheese and butter, but there are some high protein dairy products which will be now available in India. So there are non-tariff barriers which will allow them to come in, but there will be a sign saying that, okay, these are non-religious, which means that they are non-veg products. I don't understand how milk and butter and cheese cannot be non-veg. These are all animal products, but nevertheless, there will be some kind of a warning which we assume will dissuade Indians from buying those products. But we'll see. A lot of times people all over the world buy American for lifestyle purposes, not just because of quality. If they want to signal to their friends and others that they have arrived, they usually like to buy expensive foreign stuff. And there's a lot of conspicuous consumption in India. I just witnessed it. I was in India until the day before yesterday. I just arrived today or a few hours ago, about 16 hours ago, after a long flight. So basically what has happened is this is a major win for the United States. All the US has given India is reduce the tariffs from 50% to 18%. That's it. Let me put it very clearly to you, all of you who think they are listening to propaganda from the government that this is a major victory for Prime Minister Modi, etc. I would challenge him to take one press conference and 3 questions, just 3 questions. Number one, is there any product which is agricultural product on which you have reduced tariffs in this deal? Number one. Number two, have you committed to buying $500 billion of additional American stuff or not? Number three, have you committed to buying Russian oil to zero? Just these 3 questions, just answer them. Piyush Goyal can answer them. The Ministry of External Affairs can answer them. And if that's not the case, then is Donald Trump lying? And is this tweet full of lies? Please say so, that Donald Trump is lying. We have no such agreements at all on any of these things. The only thing that we have agreed upon is that the tariffs will be reduced from 50% to 18%. And this wonderful concession Donald Trump is making to India out of the goodness of his heart, and India is not conceding anything in exchange for that. I would love to hear that kind of statement. It would be wonderful, isn't it? So that's not happening at all, really. What is interesting is this. Number one, there will be non-tariff barriers open. If you look at India's budget, which came out 2 days ago, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that there will be a bigger amount of shares. Like there was a limit on how much I could buy if I was an investor. I don't have a lot of money, but if I had lots of money and I wanted to buy, say, Tata Motors or something like that, there was a limit to how much I could buy in terms of equity of that company. Now that has been doubled. The argument was that we are trying to attract private investments from overseas, especially from non-resident Indians. But now it appears that perhaps that is also one of the non-trade barriers that India is reducing, allowing more Americans to invest in India, perhaps. But that also requires a question and some kind of an intelligent answer from the administration. But there are other non-tariff barriers which are going to have to go, which have prevented American services from coming into India. And Trump is not going to give up on the agricultural products because most of the farmers are his voters. He has promised them. He's already got them into trouble with China because China has completely moved its supply chain of soya products, which is one of America's biggest products, agricultural products, from there to Brazil, and is Brazil's biggest buyer of soya beans. And so the American farmers are struggling to sell soybean and soya meal and its products. And so Trump is going to try and push that aggressively in other agricultural products. So if he has leverage, he will use it. And so we need clarity, and the Indian government right now is anything but open about what the deal is. If it has not been finalized, then they should say so. Why would Piyush Goyal go to the extent of saying that millions of Indians are celebrating it as a festival, that after 1 year we have concluded this bilateral trade agreement with the United States? So clearly the agreement is done. Even though Modi did not explicitly say so, like Trump, in his short tweet, which only mentions one detail, and he left the rest to Piyush Goyal, which he did not do a good job. Over a period of time, I think slowly, all the truths will come out. By then, there will be some other crisis somewhere in Bengal or Bihar. Somebody will be lynched. Some other things will go on, and the public will not notice what exactly has happened with this particular deal. There are a couple of other things I want to say. If all the tariffs on manufactured American goods go down to 0%, like medical equipment, for example, India is anywhere between 35 to 70% tariffs on American medical equipment products. If that becomes zero, then why will private hospitals not buy American highly qualified, better products than buying Indian products? If Indian manufactured medical equipment is just as good as the US, then you don't need to have tariffs, because they should be able to win with better service because it's homegrown. The reason why you have such heavy tariffs on American medical equipment is because domestic products cannot compete with them without the tariffs. So you're basically making the prices of American medical equipment 1.5 times more to allow domestic industry to thrive. So if you reduce the tariffs to zero, then if all the private hospitals will buy the best product out there, then it will hurt domestic manufacturing. So this whole goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat will be dented if manufacturing goods from the US come. People usually think that the US is not into manufacturing. Let me correct that perception. The share of manufacturing of the US GDP is 10%. That is why people think the US is all service, because it's about 77% service and 10% manufacturing. India is just 12.5% manufacturing. So India is not a major manufacturer as compared to the US. It's in comparison to China that the US looks bad. But 10% of US GDP is $3 trillion. That's 75% of Indian economy. So the US is still the second biggest manufacturing economy in the world. We make a lot of things which will be bought in India at 0% tariffs because they are American products. So that is, it will have an impact on India's domestic manufacturing and Atmanirbhar agenda. And that is something that Indian government needs to worry about. So I think it is, rather than hiding and trying to protect Modi's image and trying to make him look as if he is some kind of a magic negotiator, I think it's very important for the government of India to come into the open and share exactly what has been agreed. We understand that Donald Trump has been bullying India by those additional 25% tariffs, which are hurting India, and also the 50% tariffs on all the other manufacturing has hurt Indian fisheries, has hurt India's leather industry, has hurt India's garment industry, and the jewelry industry too. All of them have been badly hit. Carpet industry in UP has suffered significantly because of the 50% tariffs. So the Indian government should come out into the open, tell us exactly what they have discussed and what they have agreed to, and then prepare for it. You have to create incentives in some way to protect domestic manufacturing. All these goals of becoming Atmanirbhar is going to go out of the window. The second thing is that there is going to be a dent on the agricultural sector. I am pretty positive about it. If that is not the case, then they should call out Donald Trump's bluff. Everybody seems to be, a lot of people who watched the Hindi show were telling me that, oh, that's not true. Who trusts Donald Trump? Well, don't trust him. Expose him. If he's saying that Modi did not agree to he said that Modi agreed to buy $500 billion of extra American stuff. If that's not true, come out and say so. He said that Modi has agreed to making the tariffs 0%. If that is not so, state it. Both Trump as well as the Secretary of Agriculture of the United States, and I showed you her tweet also, they are clearly under the impression that according to this deal, the agricultural market of India is also open now to American agricultural products. If that is not so, then please say it. State it, tweet it, say it in Hindi, maybe Telugu, Tamil, Urdu, but state it. If you don't challenge this, we will assume that is true, and eventually we'll find out. So I think this is not a good deal for India at all. It is very clearly that Donald Trump has twisted Modi's arm, and he has basically surrendered on all major issues. He has made concessions on agricultural and dairy products. We will eventually find out. If that is not the case, then say it. Piyush Goyal kept saying core elements of the agriculture and dairy products, not the entire dairy segment, not the other. So whatever items on which they have made concessions, they are now going to claim that, oh, that was not core. Uh, so that is, to me, quite fascinating, that phraseology that he used, that we have protected the core interests of our agricultural and dairy industries. But on the manufacturing, we will see what happens. And there is yet no clarity on what concessions India has made with regards to non-tariff barriers, which means how much of American service industry will now be part of India's service industry, will be entering the Indian service industry market. Insurance, banking, universities, financial services, consulting, management consulting, technology consulting, all of these are service industries. Already India's whatever you call them, Netflix, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, these are all services of Americans which are already drawing a lot of uh, money from India. What happens to what are the restrictions on them that are being lifted? We need to explore all of that. I will obviously be keeping an eye on that. But right now, as of now, from Donald Trump's and the tweets coming out of the United States, it does appear that India has made massive concessions to the United States in this trade deal just to reduce tariffs from 50 to 18%. There is nothing else that India has got. And if you look at it over the last 1 year, like I said, the tariffs have gone up from 3 to 5% to 18%. That is not a win at all. So that's all I have to share about this. I will continue to watch this scenario and come back to you again if there are more details revealed on the Indian side. I will come back and take a look at that. So thank you for watching Conversations. Like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Now, I will take your questions and comments if there are any interesting ones. And anyway, don't forget to share this with your socio-political network, as I realize that not many people in India are getting into the specifics of the deal. They just seem to be talking about, oh, what a great man Modi is. He didn't make the phone call to Trump. Trump made the phone call to him. That's all the media narrative seems to be. And then they're all just attacking Rahul Gandhi rather than talking about the details of the stuff. Who said so? Please share this link with me. Sir, auto sector, no tariff change, etc. Many sectors. Where are you getting that information? Donald Trump says that tariffs have become zero. So where is that information coming from? Has Piyush Goyal said that? Has Prime Minister Modi said that? Someone has to say that, right? Otherwise, we don't know. That's the problem. India is not sharing, and Trump thinks he has shared, and he thinks he's given us a lot of details. And that's what I'm sharing with you. Not very clear. Trump seems to think that the deal is done. That's why he called Modi. And Modi thanked him. And Piyush Goyal says that the whole population in India is celebrating. Are you celebrating there, Nitish? So everybody there is celebrating. It's like an utsav. He used the word utsav, means festival. So it's a festival in India because after 1 year of negotiation, this deal has been finalized. Trump didn't say that Korea will invest $1 trillion. Trump said that the deal was $350 billion, and the Koreans are dragging their feet, and so he has increased tariffs back on South Korea. Take a look at that. Also, lots of people don't seem to know what is happening. There aren't any questions. All kinds of rhetorical statements. All right. This is an interesting observation. Yes, gold. I think people will do. I'm not very sure about Tesla because the Indian infrastructure. I was talking to some of my friends in India who own electric vehicles, and it's not like here in the US where at every like within every five miles, 10 miles, you will get a Tesla supercharger, which takes about 20-25 minutes to charge your car. So if you're driving anywhere in the United States, there are literally thousands and thousands of Tesla superchargers all over. Nearly every gas station now has a Tesla supercharger. The distance from my house to my university is 7 miles, say about 10 kilometers. And there are three superchargers from here to my university, which take about 25 minutes to charge my car. And so that kind of facility you don't have in India yet. I did look out. I saw many gas stations in Delhi and Hyderabad, but I did not see any electric vehicle chargers. So I'm assuming people are charging at home, which means there's a limit to how much you can drive. So people might still buy Tesla just to show off and that they have money, but its utility value will be far less unless the charging network is fully developed. So not so much on that, but Jeeps, yes, and some of the more sophisticated, expensive American cars, which run on gas and diesel, will be bought. I don't know. People are saying 18% are. All right, so there doesn't seem to be any interesting question. All right, there's an interesting comment here from Jilani Sabun Saab, who's a member of Conversation. You're saying Dinesh Vora said India is not stopping purchasing Russian oil. If I have not listened to it properly, he also said if India do this, honorable Donald Trump will be much tougher. So Dinesh Vora, I did not see that show. He's a good friend of mine, Dinesh Voraji. He's a retired tax officer and commissioner. And he's probably speculating that India will not stop purchasing Russian oil. But if it does not do that, then those tariffs will not reduce from 50 to 25. So India might end up paying 33% tariffs. So 18 plus 25. Oh, that will be 43% tariffs if that happens. But Donald Trump has been known to, reverse his positions on several occasions. Like, for example, he said he would impose tariffs on 8 European countries from starting February 1st because they opposed him on Greenland. Now nothing is happening with Greenland, and he has revoked that claim that he was going to impose additional tariffs. He didn't, but he does have something to show that the Europeans are willing to accommodate America. So the deal that NATO offered Donald Trump with regards to Greenland was excuse enough for him to reverse that decision. So what excuse is India offering Donald Trump other than reducing purchasing of Russian oil? So we will see. We will know. In fact, I'm going to actually dig into this and see what has been. So let's go back and see. There should be import data on petroleum on the Ministry of Commerce's dashboard. So if you can see how much India imported in December, in January, December, November, then we can plot it and see if there is a steady reduction in purchase of Russian oil or not. But India will lose money if it does stop buying Russian oil. It's getting 35% discount on it. And if it's buying from America instead, then it'll be buying that in market price, which will be nearly 50% more than what Russian oil would be available to them. So that's where we are. He's going to hide as much as he can. I think most of what we are ever going to learn are going to be from the US side of it. They're not going to comment, they're not going to deny what Donald Trump said. And then their proxies will continue to say things like people are saying in the comment section. oh, Trump is lying, etc. But this is not something that the government is going to say. And if they keep it concealed, and given the fact that the Indian media is incapable of doing investigative journalism, we will never know in India. So we'll be stuck with only what Donald Trump and the Trump administration is saying, and we'll know nothing about what is actually there in the deal unless Donald Trump himself places the entire deal on the web, on his webpage in the White House. Unless something like that happens, we will never know, because if Prime Minister Modi has opened the agricultural sector to American products, as Americans are claiming, then he's going to be in trouble politically, no doubt about that. So he will hide it. And so the proxies will say, no, Trump is lying. And so there will be a lot of denial about it. It's like the China thing, They have hidden exactly what happened after Galwan. And so while there are people in the Indian government and in the opposition who claim that India lost thousands of square kilometers of land to China, the Indian government has not yet acknowledged. And of course, the Indian media is incapable of going to the actual spot in Galwan and investigating, as to what really happened in Galwan. So I think the same thing will happen here, that Indians will never know. Still, share the link, my friend, share the link. Just don't say today government official. Which government official? So far, only Piyush Goyal has spoken. Is it the Ministry of External Affairs which is announcing this, that no auto sector, no tariff change? Please share the detail. I would be love to. I would like to share it here. If you had posted the link here, I would have posted the link here so others will know, because there is such a huge question mark about the details of it. Shashi Tharoor was asked this question and he says, where's the deal? I mean, you want my view upon the deal? Well, I'm at least trying to look back at different things and trying to construct what there might be in the deal, because of the few leaks that we have had in the Indian media. I'm not even using the US media. I used the Indian Ministry of External Affairs claim about Mission 500. I'm also looking at other details coming from Indian newspapers like the Mint and Hindu. So do share this detail. I understand. Sir, there are many questions even I can't ask here. Because he was trying to protect the Indian agricultural sector, which is very, very primitive. The Americans and Europeans and other places, Australia and New Zealand, even with New Zealand, India is not opening its agricultural or dairy sector, because that is the biggest export of New Zealand. Because in America, they do agriculture at an industrial level. They use artificial, GMOs and stuff like that to produce vegetables and fruits, etc. Plus, on top of that, Indian Western agricultural sectors are heavily subsidized by the government. India can't subsidize its own agricultural products, so it protects it with tariffs. And that's where we are. If they had opened, then I think India's farming sector is the biggest employer now. In fact, since COVID, they say that about 6 crore more people have found jobs in India's agricultural sector. So if they open it up to better, if you're getting better fruit, better agricultural products, cheaper, then why would you buy Indian? And so that would really hurt India's market. The same on manufacturing, also all the tariffs. If you open the tariffs, China will just wipe out the Indian market. So the tariffs are there to protect India. India does not enter into a free trade agreement with China. There's no dialogue. There will be no Atmanirbhar Bharat, because you'll get better products, cheaper products, and much quicker. That's a very interesting question, Neeraj. Is this liberalism 2.0 for India after 1991? I think so. And this may not necessarily be as advantageous as the previous one was. India, since 1991, India has been one of the top two beneficiaries of globalization and liberalism with China, two biggest winners. But I don't know whether this particular segment will increase. The Indian manufacturing and agriculture will have to become very robust and competitive to survive an open market. That's why Trump says, India is the Maharaja of tariffs. How is that colonialism? Has American markets are open to India? Has India colonized the U.S.? Very strange question. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just pray for more energy, more strength. Anyway, so that's all. So thank you for watching Conversations. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so, and do share this with your socio-political network. Like I said, there is very little information available in Indian mainstream media on the tariffs. They're not even asking the right questions. They're more interested in saving the image of the prime minister and protecting the ruling party rather than protecting India's national interest and asking serious questions. And in all this hullabaloo, there are other things that have just been revealed. The Epstein Files case has become very prominent. For example, the current Indian minister, Hardeep Singh Puri, who is the oil minister, by the way, has been having and pleading and negotiating with Epstein in 2017. So was Anil Ambani. And this is 10 years after Epstein was convicted as a sex trafficker. You know, Pam Bondi, the current Attorney General, she was Attorney General in Florida. She presented those things against him, but dropped those charges. But he was convicted in New York, also, he was. So, I mean, he was sex trafficking children. And yet the Modi government's main man, Hardeep Singh Puri, was reaching out. So there's not much discussion on that. And there is also this news now that finally Mr. Adani will accept the papers that are being delivered by the Department of Justice to him. He's wanted in America right now. There's an arrest warrant for him for corruption. So finally, so all of that is being hidden and not being discussed by the media because of this whole father of all deals, I guess. All right. Thank you for watching again. Take care. Bye.